Hey everybody, Nick here, and today I got a review for you of this little guy right here. This is the Spyderco Knives UKPK, the UK pocket knife. First off though, a quick note, this is actually going to be a re-review. If you're thinking to yourself, Nick, you did a review of the UKPK a long time ago. You're right, I did. But the thing is, it was a long time ago in a galaxy far, wait, sorry, wrong franchise. Anyways, it was a long time ago, and frankly, it wasn't my best work. At that point, I wasn't even doing the great. It was just the good, the bad, the ugly, which is better for the movie, but not as good for reviewing. And so I figured it was time to take a second look at this guy. Next thing, I want to thank very much my viewer and buddy, frankly, Hawkwit, for sending this guy along. He actually, there's a long story behind this, and I actually told it during the disassembly. But long story short, I ended up with this guy, and it's thanks to Hawkwit's generosity, and it's going to go into the next charitable giveaway as a result of that. So thank you very much for that, Hockey. Give me a chance to get this guy back on the table. Next thing, let's do a size comparison real quick. This is actually kind of an intermediately sized knife. That's kind of it's right in the same vicinity as, for instance, your Spyderco Delica. So in terms of sharpened blade length, we are almost identical there. And in terms of the size in the pocket, etc., the UKPK is a little smaller, a little thinner, but generally speaking, it's in Delica range. Then here it is against the Spyderco PM2. So yeah, this is a substantially smaller knife than the PM2. It is a small knife. That is sort of the nature of the beast. And then actually, I want to do a quick set of measurements right here. We are coming in here uncontroversially under 3 inches, which is going to be a nice thing for folks in the UK. And so, well, frankly, anywhere else that has 3-inch laws. So there's that. Next thing, like I said, this is a re-review. And then finally, this guy is actually not a sprint run, but a regular production version, but it's done in CPM S110V steel. S110V is a serious business sort of steel. It is a steel that puts edge retention above everything else, and, you know, it's not going to be the choice for everybody. But I figured I'd check this guy out just to see how 110 was performing. So, anyways, let's go ahead and jump into the good, the great, the bad, and the ugly of this very interesting little knife right here. So on the good side, to start with, this guy is actually made in the USA. It says right here on the side, Golden, Colorado, USA Earth. That's a nice thing, at least for those of us here in the States. I'm cheering for manufacturing in my home countries. I'm sure you are in yours. And so that's kind of a nice thing. Even though it's the UKPK, it's the US UKPK, I suppose. Whatever. Not a big deal. Next thing, in terms of disassembly, this guy was actually pretty straightforward. I mean, you saw the video. There were a couple of moments where it was questionable, but honestly, no. It was slip joints very often can be very scary in disassembly, but this one worked out just fine. And so I do appreciate that. That makes the tool a little easier to take apart and to keep track of over time. So that's good. Next thing, price-wise, this is actually reasonably competitive within Spyderco's lineup. The base model, which is using BD1 steel, which is a fine steel, is $60, and then you're paying $100 for the upgraded S110. That's pretty solid, honestly. That puts it in, you know, it's in competition with a lot of other Spyderco gems, like, for instance, the Chaparral FRN is sort of my go-to in that sort of price range, but you know what? That's not a bad price at all, and $60 it's a pretty competitive thing given the quality of the design. Next thing, personally, I like the size a lot. I really do think that about 3 inches of blade is a nice sweet spot. Mind you, though, this only has about 2.5 inches of sharpened blade. And so that is sort of a major distinction. It's one that might matter for a number of folks out there. But nevertheless, it is a good enough size to get most tasks done. And it's also very small and lightweight, which makes this really nice in the pocket. If I throw this guy on the scale here, what we see here is that this guy comes in at 1.69 ounces, or just a second here, 48 grams. That's a pretty serious, well, actually pretty small weight. I appreciate that very much. And because it has this nice deep carry clip, which is the Spyderco wire clip, and because it's arranged in such a way that it fits well in this is just really good to carry. Every day I carry this, is just like, yeah, I barely have a knife on me, but I have a serious business freaking pocket knife on me. So that's an absolutely beautiful thing. I appreciated that ease of carry very much. Next thing, this guy has a great blade. One thing you can see is that the blade stock is reasonably thin. If we compare this against the Spyderco Delica, we can see here stock thickness stick, this is about the same. Nice full flat grind on this guy. And it actually comes out to a very thin edge, which is something that is, well, not universal in modern pocket knifery, unfortunately. And as a result, this guy cuts like freaking crazy. I really appreciated this as a good tool for cutting. The S110V steel also has very, very nice edge retention, and so that's kind of a nice thing. And you know what? It's overall a very, very solid little blade. I'm not necessarily as big a fan of the leaf blade shape as I am some of their other ones, but honestly, it's good to go. It works. That's a nice thing. So that's the good. Next thing, this guy is a slip joint style knife. Now, generally, this is not something I prefer. In fact, I tend to almost exclusively look at locking knives because, well, in my estimation, because I have no laws that restrict locking knives, I'm much, much, much more able to, well, they tend to be a little bit safer, right? If you accidentally get something caught on the backside, it's not going to close on your fingers. However, this is a slip joint knife. You can see here you've got a back spring. If you watch this assembly, all of this becomes eminently clear, but it has a reasonable detent, meaning it's not going to slide open in your pocket, which is good. It has a half stop on it going in both directions, which is good. But more importantly, it has these basically these dual finger choils, where you've got this strong thumb ramp here and this finger choil down here. What that means is that if I grip this in my hand like I am cutting, I cannot cut this, or I'm sorry, I cannot close this onto my hand. I am really actually putting some freaking force on this, and it is really not closing on my hand because my finger is right here. And because it's got this finger groove right here, this basically will pinch onto your finger, which, given is not the most comfortable sensation ever. However, it will not cut your finger off. And what this means is that although this is a slip joint, there is no lock to this knife. If I do this, actually, there, the lock was strong enough that it didn't do anything. Proves my point, right? But anyways, even if I do something like that, the knife is 100% not coming closed on my finger. And that makes it sort of an inherently safe slip joint. It makes it a slip joint where you don't really have to worry about the negative possibility of a slip joint closing on you unintentionally. And so I love very much that you've got this slip joint action here for legal reasons, but that it's completely not going to come closed on you. This is as good as a locking knife in terms of safety and in terms of, frankly, everyday utility. It just happens to be a slip joint. And so that's good. And then finally, on the good side, the ergonomics on this are great. This fits beautifully in my relatively small hands. Combining, you know, the finger choils here, everything. You've got a perfectly good grip just with these two fingers alone. But then the other ones come into the play here. Oh, man, this guy fits great in the hand. This is, you know, Sal Glesser is the designer right here. I can see right there, Sal Glesser. This is, you know, kind of classic Sal Glesser. It's beautifully ergonomic, and it works, and it cuts. I sound like a fanboy there, but there's something to be said for it. He is an ergonomic master. And so to me, at least, all that is the good, is that the ergos are great. The slip joint action is absolutely both workable. It's one-handable, by the way, is the other thing to highlight here. You can pop this guy open just using your thumb with no problem. But it's a good action that is also inherently safe. It has a very, very nice blade. It is easy to carry with a great size, lightweight, nice price, easy disassembly, and it's made in the States. To me, on the great side is the fact that this guy exists. Not necessarily that it has to exist. That's ugly. We'll get there. But the fact that it is being made at all is a beautiful thing. This is a great functional tool that is beautifully designed for people dealing with a dumb law. This could be a great knife as a backlock. And in fact, you know, there were knives that are very similar to it as back, you know, for instance, you look at these two together, it's like, oh, yeah, huh. I can kind of see that. And in a lot of ways, the Delica is sort of a backlock UKPK, although there were other substantial differences, most notably here. But nevertheless, or frankly, even the Para 3 Lightweight, which is around here somewhere. I'll find it. Anyways, the fact that they have designed a knife that is specifically targeted at one very particular stupid set of laws and gives a really good functional tool for people dealing with those laws is absolutely amazing. I'm sure they're not making a bazillion of them, and the fact that they're choosing to do it, and that they're choosing to do it right, that's great. And so I am absolutely a big fan of the fact that this knife does exist to fill this legal niche, even though I wish it didn't have to. And so to me, at least, that's what's great, is you have a good functional tool for that legal world. On the bad side, there's not much bad here. You know, one thing I commented on in my original review, and I agree again, is that the jimping here is very sharp. I can almost see it as a safety measure, as something else that's keeping this guy from closing on your fingers. I can see that there, but you know what? It is a little bit sharp, and so that's something to keep keep in mind. Next thing, S110V is an absolutely solid steel, but it is also not going to be the toughest thing ever. So if you're thinking about your cutting tasks and you end up hitting a lot of staples, things like that, you're cutting things on a concrete floor, this might not necessarily be the best choice for you. You might consider going with the original or one of the Sprints, because this is a knife that they do sprint runs in pretty regularly, although their production steels are a little bit limited. LC200N, just saying. UKPK salt? I don't know, just throwing that out there. And then finally on the bad side, I gotta say, I don't love the strength of the half stop on the close. This has got a very, very strong half stop to it, and it's asymmetrical. The way that the groove has been ground almost looks like that is intentional. You can see right there, that groove right there is the half stop, and so it's a lot easier to get open through the half stop than it is to close it. I can understand the half stop as a safety measure there, but it is actually something that is kind of a pain in the neck as you are trying to close this damn knife. It definitely makes one-hand closing a little bit more difficult. This is probably something where they've gone to the right side of things. They've favored safety over ease of use in this case. That's probably the right decision to make, but it is definitely a little bit of a pain in the neck. Maybe it'll wear in over time, but maybe not. And so that is something you want to keep in mind, though. If you're looking for something that is a very easy one-hand close, it gets there, but it's not so straightforward. You end up having to use something else, or use your thumb and then use your index finger to get it the rest of the way through. Again, I'm nitpicking here because there ain't that much wrong with this knife, and so to me, at least, that's what's bad, as I throw the knife onto the floor, luckily closed, is that I don't love the strength of the half stop on closing. That's a little much. S110V is a steel that can be a little less tough, and the jimping is a little bit on the sharp side. On the ugly front, the only thing that's not remotely about this knife, but this knife highlights in some ways the absurdity and stupidity of some of these laws, because this knife in the hand is just as secure, just as, capable, just as anything as this knife. The Spyderco Delica is a locking knife, but in practice, are these knives any different in terms of their functional use, in terms of, frankly, their use for other things? I talk about knives as tools, but they can be used as weapons, unfortunately. Well, or fortunately, I don't know. I'm not going to put a value judgment on it, but nevertheless, it is really not that different to have something like this and something like this, but some either fearful lawmaker or more likely a lawmaker who's just exploiting the fear of the voters, so to speak, has decided to villainize a safety feature on a pocket knife. And so you end up probably hurting a lot more people who are innocently using their knives at home and have a failure because they can't have a locking knife than, otherwise. And it's not actually helping anything. Putting aside the fact that, anyways, I just find these kinds of laws that villainize safety features more than anything else just really exceptionally more dumb. I mean, the fact that you want to, blade length, I don't care for any knife laws particularly, but the fact that they're going after a safety feature is so freaking stupid, I can't even get my hands around. And so the fact that this is a knife that is safe despite laws that specifically try to make knives less safe, that's good, but I really wish those laws didn't have to exist. Or, I'm sorry, that those laws didn't exist, have to only because politicians do love taking advantage of scared people. That's the nature of life anyways. So, at least to me, what's ugly here is nothing about the knife, but the fact that there are laws that make knives less safe as some thing. I don't freaking know. I don't get it. But that sucks. That's ugly, and this knife reminds me of that. Final conclusions, though. This knife right here is freaking great. It really is. Because it's easy to maintain, even as a slip joint. It's easy to carry. It's got a great blade, good slip joint action, a great price. A fine price, I suppose. Great ergos, and it addresses a genuine legal need. Even if the laws themselves are dumb as a bag of freaking hammers, this knife does a very, very good job at addressing that particular set of laws and providing people with something that is safe, despite their lawmakers' efforts to make them less safe. The jimping is a little bit sharp. S110V is a steel for a very specific context. The half stop is a little much, and the laws that this is working around are pretty awful. But honestly, the most impressive thing about this knife, and I kind of said this in my original review, is that this is a great knife anywhere. This is the UKPK. It is designed for one very specific legal context. However, and by the way, talk to a lawyer before you assume this is legal in your part of the UK. I am not a lawyer. I am a YouTuber. Those are entirely different things. So none of this constitutes anything remotely resembling legal advice, although actually the advice I gave to lawmakers about don't do this, that's legal advice. Lawmakers take that advice and go forth as you legalize. Anyways, I digress. The most important part about this knife is that it is a knife that is actually great for anybody. I could hand this to any number of people in my life here in the U.S. I live in California in the U.S., where locking knives are not considered to be particularly problematic. They're just tools, as they are just freaking tools. That's anyways. And I could hand this to people and they would be like, yeah, it's a great knife. And it would work very, very well. And you know what? The design of this knife is really, really good. And because it is so well designed, this ends up being a better functional cutting tool than a lot of modern options, both slip joint and non. This is a knife that is just as good a functional tool as a lot of non-locking knives, or as a lot of locking knives, and that's actually something that is non-trivial. This is a better cutting tool than a lot of pocket knives out there today. The fact that it happens to be very, very applicable in one particular legal context is great, and this offers a really nice option for folks in the UK. However, the fact that this is a great knife anywhere in the world is pretty impressive. So this is a great knife. In a place where the laws are more restrictive, it is even more so. This is absolutely going to be, I think, towards the top of the pack in the UK. You've also got things like the Urban from Spyderco. You've got a couple of other UK legal options there. But I agree completely with my past self. The UKPK is absolutely awesome. It is a gem, and it is a great example of a design that solves a very specific problem, but in a way that works more generally, and in a way that makes something that is better, generally speaking, than anything else. Well, not anything else. There are better knives out there in the world, but still, that makes it really, really good and better than a lot of the options designed for that world. So no matter where you are, this knife is going to be a gem for you. And, this knife could absolutely be for you. Okay? Okay. Anyways, I hope this has been interesting to you and that I've not written this review into the ground. No? Okay. Hope I haven't drawn Uriah. Oh, God, I just made a political statement about who belongs in the UK. Anyways, I digress. Hopefully I'll get out of that one scot-free. I love Scotland. Okay, back at the ranch. Have a good one, everybody. Bye now.